He's been part of a comedy tour called The Axis of Evil, a troupe of Middle Eastern comics who adopted that name and turned it into a badge of honour of sorts after George W. Bush's famous 2002 speech. He's an Iranian American who moved to the US at the age of 6. Or should that be Persian?
Iranian don't even say they're Iranian. Iranians say they're Persian. Iranian, we say we are Persian. You know, it sounds nicer and friendlier. We even smile. When we say we're Persian, we smile. I am Persian. I am Persian. I am not dangerous. I am Persian. I am Persian, like the cat. Meow. I am the cat. Meow.
As Jobrani, comedian, actor and host of the podcast Back to School with Maz Jobrani, joins me now from Los Angeles. Iran on the cusp of a full-scale confrontation with the enemy. At least that's the riff from an Iranian military commander. Maz, that enemy 6,000-odd miles away. The little old US of A, apparently. You're buying all of this?
You know, I actually am always worried about Iranian-American relations. I have been in America now for 40 years, and I always say that we're one of the only group of immigrants who left our country, Iran, came to America, and then instantly we became the enemy. So even back then, in the early 80s when the hostage crisis happened, we used to get beaten up for the hostage crisis, even though we'd fled Iran to come to America. And so, you know, we're used to this. We had the hostage crisis, then there was Iran-Contra, then there was the movie Not Without My Daughter. I mean, it keeps going and going and going. And now we've got this, and now we've got John Bolton, and it's scary. In all honesty, it is scary because I feel it does feel very similar to the lead up to the war with Iraq. And I think the one thing that a lot of people got to reflect upon is, sure, the Iranian government is, you know, a violator of human rights. A lot of the people in Iran don't like their government, but they also don't want a war, because a war with Iran would kill a lot of innocent Iranians. And so we need to remember that on this side, on the American side. We can't just go in there and quote-unquote get rid of the bad guys. You're going to kill a lot of innocent Iranians and others and innocent Americans and others around the world.
Do you fear that there is a conflict in the offing? Do you hear the drumbeat of war here?
Absolutely, I do. I mean, the only difference here, the only possible iota of a wild card here is that we had heard that Trump really does not want to get us into any wars. That's what he had said. But that said, I feel like every time I've said I want to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, he has let me down. And I feel that in this case, it could be very similar. He's got John Bolton in his ear. He's got Pompeo in his ear. There's a lot of hawks. There's Netanyahu in his ear. A lot of hawks on that side. And then the hardliners in Iran then want to talk a big game. And what's going to happen, it feels like they're really trying to come. It's almost like when two people are trying to, you know, start fighting, and they're getting closer and closer. Their noses are getting closer and closer, and you're just watching and going, "Oh, please, somebody push these guys apart." So right now, it's almost a powder keg. It's just waiting for someone to light a match, and I think we could be in a bad situation. So yeah, I really hope cooler minds prevail, because again, a lot of innocent people would die.
You use being Iranian and the sort of, you know, in your comedy, and we played a clip of that. How comfortable do you feel at present?
Well, you know, I've always, I consider myself an Iranian American. I've been here for 40 years, since I was 6 years old, 41 years now, I'm getting older. I've always felt comfortable speaking about my background on stage. As a matter of fact, I think what I've done in all the specials I've put out, part of it is me being on stage and talking, but part of it is when the camera shows an audience member and there's people of Middle Eastern descent laughing. I always found that that was a great way for those people who feel that we are the enemy to see us laugh and go, wait a minute, you're just like us. And as a matter of fact, beyond the people in my audience. I love it when there's programs like you guys had with Anthony Bourdain when he went to Iran, and you show the people of Iran, and you go, wow, these people are just living their lives and trying to just, you know, get by, and they're regular people. And so it's so easy to demonize us, and it's a shame because there are some people, and you see them on social media, and you see them at some Trump rallies, who will quickly jump on the bandwagon and try to demonize us. Even the travel ban, which was sold as a way to stop people who are a threat to us from coming to America, none of the countries in the travel ban had ever committed an act of terror in America, including the Iranians who were coming before to study in America and to do well in America. And when I point that out on social media, I say, this travel ban is wrong, it's keeping families apart, is tearing families apart. Sometimes people on social media will come back and say, well, if you guys weren't trying to kill us, or if you guys weren't yelling death to America. And I go, we aren't. I don't know any Iranian personally that's ever chanted death to America. We love America. There's a reason why we came to America. So it's important for me to stay on stage and say I'm Iranian American and be telling jokes, because I think that helps people realize that we're just normal people.